everybody, welcome back to Furniture Flipping Teacher. You might recognize this dresser because I flipped it not too long ago, but after my client got it home, there was a huge issue with it. So we're gonna walk through the steps of how we can get this fixed and get it back to my client. So as you may recall, this set was a part of the set that had very, very bad smoke smell. And so I worked super hard to get that smoke smell out, and that is not the problem. Don't worry, the smoke smell is still not there. The problem is once my client came and got it home after she sent me photos of the finish bubbling up super bad. This honestly is way better than it did look. It was literally bubbling and now they've all depressed and kind of is just like wrinkled. But I'll pop in some photos here of the original photos that she sent me way back when she brought it home in August, and just timing didn't allow her to bring the piece back until just recently. But we are gonna get this fixed up for her free of charge because I have no clue why this did what this did. So if you've got any insight, check down let me know down in the comments, because I would love to know your thoughts on why in the world this happened. I have never seen this. This was the only piece that it happened to, and it was a 4-piece set. So many different things it could be. But moral of the story is we're gonna make it right for the person who purchased these pieces. I don't need to clean, but a majority of the damage is on the drawers. The top drawer is unscathed, so I'm gonna just leave that. I'm only gonna be repairing the things that are necessary to be repaired. So like the top and the sides are totally fine. The top drawer is fine, but some of the edging here is bubbling up, and then all 4 of the bottom drawers as well. So we're gonna go ahead and take off the hardware so that we can start to strip this paint off. So I have decided to go ahead and strip the paint off because I know that there is layers of primer and paint and top coat. So instead of sanding everything off or trying to make everything evened out, I think it's just gonna be best if I start with a clean slate, at least on the drawers. The edges I may go ahead and just kind of sand out, but for the drawers, we're gonna use some Green Easy. This is a non-harsh, not caustic, and so it obviously has chemicals in it or else it wouldn't be a stripper, but it's much safer and eco-friendly than a lot of your traditional strippers. And so what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and pour some on each drawer and spread it out. Let it do its thing. I think it needs about an hour at minimum to kind of do its job. We'll probably start to see it working pretty quickly. So I said it needed like an hour, but it's already so crackled immediately. So this stuff is literally magic. I'm gonna just kind of start to see if I've got it on there for long enough to see if we can start stripping it off. If not, then I'll let it sit on there for a bit, maybe even put a little bit more on there just to kind of reactivate it a little bit. But here goes nothing. I've never done this with paint before. So if you're looking for a paint stripper, Green Easy is definitely a high contender. I have this linked down below in the description box. Oh my gosh. That was so satisfying. I'm gonna get something to put that in. Put that in a cardboard box like I'm using a plastic scraper. You could probably use a metal one, but if you were using a metal one, I would suggest just kind of going a little bit slower so that way you're not gouging the wood out at all. Next up is the finishing cleaner. So that worked super well, but now there's obviously some residue. And so Green Easy also has the strip and clean, which is the cleaner that you do after the initial stripper. So once I spray this on there, I'll be able to just kind of go in and start to wipe everything off. This will also help really get the rest of the residue and the paint off of the surface as well. So even if you don't get 100% of it, this finishing cleaner should help get the rest. I'm gonna first kind of go in with some steel wool and just activate a lot of that. Start to just clean it up. All right, I let the stripper and the finishing cleaner dry out for a couple of hours, and so now I am ready to take my sander and just get any remaining areas that maybe aren't quite smoothed out enough, or any like leftover primer or paint, and just make sure that everything is nice and smooth before we go back and put on some new primer. I've got 180 grit paper here on my Surf Prep sander. This is just going to get that texture off. Next, it's time to basically start the process all over again of like what I did the first time around, and then hope that it doesn't have that weird bubbling. So I'm gonna start off by using the clear shellac. This is gonna help any wood tannins stay locked in, and then also, of course, that smoke smell. I don't want to take any chances of it popping back through. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the shellac just like I did the first time. Okay, my next round of primer is going to be the Dixie Belle Boss. This is a stain blocking primer, so it's going to help lock in any more stains and then just give us a really nice starting point before we get the paint going on it. I'm just gonna be brushing this on, and it's gonna go on pretty quick. is time to paint. I have my sprayer loaded up. I just thought that that would be the easiest, and I did originally spray it, so I wanted to have that smooth finish. And I am just gonna go ahead and do a couple of coats over the entire thing, even though I primed only the parts that I had stripped. But the reason is just because I want it to all be nice and even. I did do a light scuff sand on the actual paint itself, so that should be all good. So let's spray on some paint. Time for me to do the top coat. We're on the last little home stretch here, and I did go ahead and just put the top coat in the same spray gun that I already had the green paint in. That's gonna just really help me make sure that there's no streaking marks and that there is no cloudiness and things like that. That is a tip that I pretty much do every time I do top coat. You guys have probably heard me say it before. With that being said, it will kind of look like I'm spraying green, but it'll dry down to be the exact same color as the original color that I painted it. So just a little pro tip, if you want to get a really flawless top coat, then that is a way to do it. Let's top coat. We're on the home stretch of fixing up this piece. I reattached the base really quick, and now I'm just gonna put the drawers back in and reinstall the hardware. And just like that, we're back where we started when I first finished this piece. I still really do not know what in the world happened and why everything bubbled up like it did, but it's all as good as new, back to normal, back to the way that it should be. But there's just a couple of lessons that I want to talk to you about with this fix that I just made. So obviously, one of the most nerve-wracking thing as a furniture flipper is selling your pieces and really hoping that it's going to hold up well for your client once they get it in their home and they're using it on the daily. So when I got that message that something was wrong with my piece that I had just sold them, I was absolutely just confused on what was going on, but I was just so sorry for the mistake or just what was happening with the piece of furniture. So immediately I knew that I needed to make it right. I think that putting the customer first and not blaming them or doing anything like that, but making sure that the problem gets solved is the most important thing. So I said, free of charge, I will get that fixed for you. No problem. But then the other lesson that I am wanting to portray to you guys is that mistakes happen. Sometimes they're uncontrollable, like whatever the heck happened to this piece, that was totally out of my control. I still don't know what it was, what happened. It could have been moisture from wrapping it. It could have been so many different things because it sat in the shop here for probably about a month before it was even sold. So I am still dumbfounded on what happened, but mistakes happen, things happen, and as long as you make them right, then I think that that is the moral of the story. You just need to make things right for your customers. And she is still so in love with this set. She says she gets compliments all the time from friends that come over to her apartment and see the furniture. So I'm so excited to get this back to her. I'm gonna be letting it sit and marinate for just a couple of days, and then I will get her back here and she'll be able to take it home and start to use the dresser as she should have been using all along. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned these lessons right along with me. I make mistakes too. Things don't always go according to plan, but of course I'm always here to be transparent and authentic with you guys, especially when it comes to furniture, and just showing you that things can be fixed. It's not the end of the world. I'm blessed to have great customers, and she was such a blessing to work with even through this malfunction of the furniture. So thanks for watching. I'll be back next week with another furniture flip, and I'll see you on the flip side.